Camp Wilson Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center, 29 Palms, California, on April 20th, 2021 at about 8:20 p.m. This is 8:20 p.m. in the desert, and this is what it looked like. This is being used under fair use because I'm evaluating and critiquing their work. This is the daytime pic from the same source, sometime before May 2023. It doesn't matter what the timing is, it should be pretty much the same thing. Now we're going to be looking at this and this, directly comparing and noticing differences. First part of this is we're going to look at the difference in position. This image was taken from a slightly different angle, which is understandable and acceptable. We're going to use the day pic for identifying parts we can see in the background. I'll show you on a map in a minute. In the background here, we see a tent frame that's missing one of the posts. In here, we see another tent frame, and they look like little goalpost looking things. Confused me for a while. Now, you can barely see it besides the telephone pole, or excuse me, utility pole, and this is a line drop pole on top of this building here, and then over here is the two vents on top. Then we get another utility pole and another utility pole. We have 4 poles on this side and then one over here. This pole is in a straight line behind this building with this one. This is one of the problems with using photo evidence. You have to know the location. The location was not precisely given, and I'm going to be taking care of that today, at least hopefully. Some things to line up and notice. Number one, we have pole number, I'm going to call this the northernmost pole, and that's a pin. These are telephone pole and utility pole pieces. This is actually an end pin. Don't care about the consistency. The lineup we have right now lines up that last pole between Igloo or Quonset Hut number 1 and 2 here, we're going to call them. Each of these has metal bollards around any utility equipment to make sure that if a car is rolling down a hill or whatever, it doesn't break anything. Gas mains, that sort of thing. And then this one here, we'll call that utility pole 2, is lined up with roughly stripe number 4. Then we get this one here that's lined up almost but not quite with the actual edge, not the roof edge of the building. And then we have this utility cable here, hook up, it's on a mast, and it goes from there all the way over to this pole pig pair. And this lines up with, this is 4 of them, and then there's 5, 6, 7, 8. This one covers up number 9, Quonset Hut, or Igloo. Anyway, pole number, we're going to call that 4, lines up almost exactly with the midpoint on this side of the building of the true side of the building, not the roof edge. Got to make accommodations for that. Now over here we have a metal bollard for this side of the building, and it lines up really nicely with the edge here. And then lining up with that, barely visible in the image, is a set of 4 bollards around like a gas main or a water pipe, we don't know. Right here is a street sign that says do something or don't do something, that's lining up with it nicely. And then again we see this tent frame in the extreme distance, and then we see the next pole here we're going to call number 5, I guess. And it lines up roughly this way, and we get the tent frame. Now I'm going to scroll down here again, and we're going to see that that tent frame roughly lines up with this and this. These are either pieces of wood or cement that are a divider, and this is a loading area in the same building they're right next to. They don't appear to be underneath anything, but they might be. Okay? And again, we're going to compare it directly. Okay, now we're going to go back, and I'm going to make some notes on what happens and what changes. Over here is a little road sign I just mentioned, and right now it's lined up almost but not quite with that tent over there that's just a skeleton. Now, because it's retroreflective and we're pointing at it, and there's a light behind us or near us, we can see it reflecting right there as a little white box. Okay? And here's our pole. We don't see the tent frames in the distance, but they're back there somewhere, so we can't use that for this image. And here we are with this pole that's feeding power into the building, and I'm going to go back and forth really quickly. It's roughly the same location between these two air vents, so we can say that's part of the building, most likely. Now we see that this pole in the night image doesn't line up all the way back here by number 5, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, number 9 Quonset Hut, or whatever it is way over there. 4 plus 5, 9. now it's lining up with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's right between number 5 and number 4. We're going to make note of those. And at night, when we scroll down, we see that we're not by the metal, the cement or whatever over here, but we can see kind of a shadow there. Okay, so what we do is we go back. Excuse me, I suck at this. Thank you, Windows. And we notice that over here we get that same shadow. So we're near there, but just not right on top of it, like we were before. Now we're going to go to Google Earth, everyone's favorite app. Here we go. Zooming in on Google Maps and on Google Earth. That's what the frame looks like currently. It's a spider frame, or whatever you want to call it. This one, at the time this image was taken, 2018, still had it. It's fallen off since then. And over here is, if I can get this to zoom in a little faster, the shadows of the bollards here. I'm pointing at the far left edge from our view. And in here somewhere is like a gas main or something it's protecting. Here will be, if I could get this thing to zoom in faster, the shadow, yes, computer, the shadow of a lollipop style sign or whatever over there that is reflective. There's another set of bollards here. I think that's a set of 6 of them around it. Here's that one pole that's on the far right. We'll call that pole number whatever, but let's look at the lineups. Here's the far pole, and it slices through the edge of the first Quonset hut on the edge there and points to this area right here for the daylight picture. Not doing the nighttime. That other pole that's the far left here lines up with pointing way down here and hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 4. That's the number 9 it's covering up there. Next, that lineup way over there goes on the right side of the pole in the daylight picture. And the other tent frame lines up almost, but not quite exactly, with the lollipop sign here and to the right of that collection of bollards and from this location. So that's where the photo was taken from. And the other photo, the night photo, was taken just right over here. This was missing this stuff, or they were standing on it or whatever, but the image lines up almost perfectly for that. From that, we can figure out where they were pointing to see the things in the sky. Again, we go back here. That lines up with, if you're not paying too close of attention, that air vent on top of the building. So from that location, which we can figure out the lining up of, because right here, if we have that lollipop sign line up with here, that edge, let's do this. If we line it up towards just barely in, we end up pointing over here. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute for the lollipop sign lineup. Only the lollipop sign. I'll do that by moving this pin over here to represent it. So here we go. Or actually, I'll just draw the line. It comes out kind of wrong, but we're dealing with what we are dealing with. I'm sorry. So we go here, and I draw it over to here, like, let's say, right about there. And then I have to hit save and then go through the stupid dialogue. When we zoom in, that location there cuts underneath the big roof that's over the somewhat smaller building and goes straight to the lollipop sign over there. And again, when we look at it in the night image, we see that. So that means we should be able to do a lineup and get it over there pretty easily. Now let's zoom in here as best I can. I'm sorry for the time delay, but the thing is set to an extremely slow rate. So I go here, and I'm going to hit my middle mouse button and try and get the lineups to work out where we can see our mountain range the way we're supposed to see it. I'm going to zoom. It wants me to literally crawling on my butt speed. And we can see the outline of the building here, and it's pretty close. So we can line it up, and I'm just going to confirm it's the right location by using the daytime shot and see how close I can line up right there. Okay, and then we just turn it. Excuse me. Turn it a little bit more. That's as close as I'm going to get it. Now I tilt up, which takes a bit of work. We'll get a lineup that goes to the top of the building over here in a long distance. So we're going to do that. I'm going to set a pin not a pin, excuse me, cancel, a line measurement. I'm going to tap, excuse me, close. Let me move us over here, which is where the image was taken of at night. And I'm going to do a line drop here. I'm going to put it over our air vent right here. And it's fitting the curve of the ground, and that's cool. Okay. Now we're going to zoom out, and hopefully this will be of some use. You can also just do this in Google Maps, the web-based one. It's fine. It's fine. And it doesn't seem to cause any problems. Hopefully I threw the line out there far enough. Yeah, it's way out there. That's what I wanted. That line heads out off in that direction. Now remember, the closer our two tag points are to each other, the harder it is for us to justify saying we've got the angle right. But let's do properties. Move this the frack out of the way. Grab that pin, and I'm going to arbitrarily, quote unquote, put it over here at this road on the opposite side, because that lump of rock there is about 4,000 feet tall max. And I'm going to go in here, and we're going to try really hard to line that up over the building. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get it right. Pretty close. Let me move it again, because I got the wrong hunk of road. Okay, we go over here, and just drag it by right-clicking, properties, move the damn dialog out of the way, because I don't care about that. And just let's drag it over here to this intersection right here on the opposite side of the road, opposite side of the mountain. It's 4,000 feet up or more, so yeah, it's going to be a mountain range. I'm going to call it a mountain. And up and over here, we got lots of places we could be, and there's even a draw up here, but driving out here and firing 5 flares in sequence, in pairs, dunk, and then dunk, dunk, and then dunk, dunk with a slightly wider spread would give you a similar effect. But I'm just spitballing it. Also out here, we have a road here, but let's see, does that cross enough over the air vent on top of the building? It might not. Oh, look. If I draw it from that point over there, it goes right over the air vent. And again, we have to look at our air vent. Here's our air vent. And there it is. So, if anything, I got a little bit off by being, maybe it was south of there. So, what am I saying here? It was flares. I know flare guns. You can get flare guns that can go that altitude. So, anywhere along here at night, even though that's on base or not, it is not impossible for someone to go out there and fire 5 illumination flares. And again, we're looking at 5 flares or so. Now, how does this work? And by the way, could this be something else? Of course it could be. It could be aliens. It could be airplanes. Every once in a while it is or isn't one of those things. That's fine. But the easiest way to do this is to have someone go out there, and it's not against the law to do this, and have them just fire a set of flares in sequence to where it forms roughly a triangle formation. You fire one, and then you take a pair of them and fire them at a slightly wider angle at the same time, and it'll give you roughly a triangle, and then a little bit later you fire another pair at another angle. One person or a couple of people can do it. In fact, there's a type of flare gun that's used for firing like color patterns at various timings, and you can just, you have a trip hammer type thing for it. So again, credit where credit's due. Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp's 10-minute UFO video and or photo set taken at night lines up from our perspective with that air vent at night. And it was done 2021, April 20th at 8:20 p.m., according to them or wherever they posted it. They did go way out of their way not to give us the information for me to evaluate it, because that's what they do. These people are memesters. They do this all the time, okay? And the lineup is pretty clear. And again, the lineup back here is to assign, and this lines up with that. And from this lineup here, and also from lining up that pole to that Quonset hut edge, I was able to get away with figuring out where it was taken from. And this one here helped a great deal, which I guess maybe might have been a mistake on their part. So it was either from over there, or over on this road here, or up in the hills. And no, I'm not going to review the video. And this is the location it was taken from. And it's at 34.3014 by -116 .144972 is the positioning. And this was the image taken